Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Hope you are having a good day. Are you ready for new stories? I have 5 for you today. Let's go to the first one. Enjoy the stories, guys, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and of course, to leave a comment. I, female 24, am the middle child of 3 sisters. My eldest sister, female 26, withdrew from college to pursue a career as a social media influencer. Our little sister, female 19, is currently attending college. Overall, I've had a very healthy relationship with my sisters, and we've always been the confidants for each other. 2 weeks ago, my little sister told me that college wasn't for her, and that she was considering taking a break to pursue a career as a social media influencer, like our older sister had done. While she hasn't discussed it with our older sister yet, she doesn't live with us. She was certain older sister would take her under her wing. It was obvious that my little sister had a heavily romanticized notion about the life our older sister lives, because older sister hadn't shared all the details with her, whereas I had been told much more. Because she was going to submit the paperwork to withdraw from college that night, I decided to tell my little sister the painful truth. The notion that our sister is living the good life as an influencer is a facade. My older sister is gorgeous. She's been prominently featured in the regional Hooters calendar for multiple consecutive years. Building on her popularity from Hooters, she's built up her followings on Instagram and TikTok to a combined 400K followers. But in years of trying, she hasn't been able to successfully monetize her social media presence. Even her OnlyFans lost all momentum after I had talked her out of it for privacy and safety reasons. Before the pandemic, our sister was regularly posting content from interesting places with interesting people. But at best, she's been a passenger along for the ride on other people's success stories. At worst, she's been allowing herself to be exploited. Her luxurious girls' trips to the Bahamas was actually her and 6 other would-be influencers she barely knew, sharing a room they could barely afford, even when splitting costs. She blew a marketing manager from a major shoe brand so he'd invite her to a yacht party with pro athletes and celebs. She was an NFL practice squad member's date to a destination wedding in Costa Rica, who then sent audio clips of them having S to his ex, who was in the wedding party, to make the ex jealous. Over the years, she's had S with at least a dozen industry insiders who promised to help her career and gotten nowhere. There's no glamour there, and that's exactly what I told my little sister. This revelation came as a shock to my little sister, who went back to college for her spring semester this week. Mission accomplished. However, my older sister is furious at me for breaking her confidence and denying her the opportunity to tell our little sister everything herself. She says, regardless of my intentions, that her story wasn't my story to tell. She said she hadn't shared details with our little sister sooner because she'd been too young before, and she's never asked, whereas I had. Am I an a-hole? Soft yes, an a-hole. I think OP meant well, but it would have been better for OP to say being an influencer isn't what you think it is. You should talk to Big Sis before you withdraw from school, and then giving Big Sis a heads up. My ex and I split after she had an affair and married the guy. We have 3 kids together, male 15 and female 16, male 5. Ex's husband has a daughter from a previous relationship who's also 16, and 2 kids with my ex, male 12, female 9. After the divorce, I came into some money and used it to start a business, and it took off. Last year, I sold my business, and I can now afford to spoil my kids. I enrolled the kids in private school. My ex was upset about how her husband's kids would feel, but she wasn't going to take away an opportunity from her kids. Ex's husband was upset, but it's not like he could do anything about it. The most recent issue revolves around my daughter's birthday. My daughter and her stepsister have the exact same birthday, so my ex and her husband decided that they were going to share their 16th birthday party. I call my daughter just to check in on her and siblings, and she informs me of the news. She said she was a little disappointed, but was okay with it. I got them to let me have the kids before the party, so I put into action my 3-week plan of making my little girl feel special for her 16th birthday. The day of the party, and I pick up the kids from my ex's house. First, I take them to their grandparents for breakfast. I left the boys with my dad, and had my mom take us to Neiman's so we could shop for the boys while my daughter picks out something to wear to the party and a few things for her wardrobe. I then have my mom take us to a vinyl wrapping place that has my daughter's 2010 Champagne BMW 650i. I let my daughter drive back to my parents' house, and we get changed and head to my daughter's favorite restaurant for lunch, and we sing happy birthday, and then she drove us to the party. Now, obviously, pulling up to the party in a pink convertible got a little attention. My ex looked mad, but kept it to herself for the moment. After catching up with a few people, my ex and her husband sidebarred me and told me that they were going to surprise the girls with a car. Ex-husband had a contracting business, and he was going to give the girls his old Lariat to share. I told him that now they don't have to share. The big reveal happened, and my ex-husband surprised his daughter with his truck. A little while after I got home from the party, my ex shows up at my condo in tears. Apparently, her stepfather felt that she was being treated unfairly, and that my daughter gets a convertible while she gets a truck. Her husband then yelled at her. Only other time that happened was when he found out about our youngest. He told her she needs to get me under control and I need to stop one-upping him. He also said some not nice things that made her leave and go over to my place. My ex says she wishes I talked to her first. They're working on it now, but apparently there's a rift between my daughter and her stepsister. Am I the a-hole? Edit to answer some FAQs. Male 5 is the product of S between X and I while she was married to her husband. In my defense, it wasn't like we were trying to make him. She had a fight with her husband before he went on a 3-month work trip. I came over to help her out with the kids, and I made a move. Due to the circumstances of our divorce, I didn't really respect her marriage, so I made a move and it worked. It was only the one time, and we were going to keep it a secret, but she got pregnant, and she's a devout Catholic. So she was keeping it. I anticipated that X's stepdaughter was getting the Lariat because I gave her dad the idea. Also, a common misconception is that my daughter's car is nicer than her stepsister's. It isn't. My daughter's car is a couple $1,000s cheaper. Trucks maintain their value. Luxury sports vehicles do not. M5 is the product between X and I while she was married to her husband. That's a little messed up, don't you think, guys? It's pretty simple. This girl gets to live with her dad full-time, which OP's daughter doesn't. That does not mean there will be more differences. In a way, I think OP should have discussed the car with his ex. However, they chose to not discuss their plans with OP either, and it sounds like they have a contentious relationship anyway. OP can buy his daughter stuff that he likes. If her stepdad and stepsister have a problem, it's really not on OP. I, 21 female, am in college and saving up for med school. My mom hasn't been in my life, but she has been in my older sister's. We have a 15-year age gap. So when she died, she left all her inheritance money for my sister. I wasn't upset by this because we were not close anyways. Our father passed away a while ago already and gave both of us inheritance money. My parents are quite old, and I was a miracle baby. My sister is married, and her son has a heart disease and has to pay for the surgery. I assumed she used mom's inheritance money to save for the surgery. She instead bought luxury goods. My grandparents are quite wealthy, and I have always been close with them, unlike my sister, who cut contact with them when she was a teenager. My grandparents both died. My grandpa first, and then my grandma. I think it was from heartbreak. My grandpa left me all his money, and my grandma split it 50-50. I also got their house, and they said that I was not allowed to sell it. My sister and her husband were upset that my grandma left it all to me. I said that it was her fault for cutting them off for no reason and not taking care of them, and that she could be grateful that grandma left her some money. She again spent the inheritance money on luxury items. The money was more than enough to pay my student loan and my tuition for med school. I used some of the other money to move out of my aunt's place. My grandparents' house is big and the bills are too expensive for me, and pay off my debt as well. My sister called me out and said she wanted to get dinner with me. We don't usually hang out together, so I thought it was weird. She asked me to use the money I was saving for med school to pay for my nephew's surgery. I said that the money you got from mom and grandma should be enough. She said that she had already spent it all. I said that why could I compromise my future for something that could have easily been avoided by not spending the money on luxury items? She said she was desperate for money. I told her that if she is that desperate, she should sell her luxury goods. She said she wasn't willing. I eventually told her no, and she said I didn't need to worry, that I'm smart enough to get a scholarship and she wouldn't need to pay me back. I'm scared that if I give her the money, that she won't pay me back, or I won't get the scholarship like she said. After I refused, she flipped the story, and all I get are angry texts from relatives. She posted it on Facebook too. She also sends me pictures of her family, saying, "Do I want to ruin such a beautiful family?" So, am I the a-hole for not paying for it? OP is not an a-hole. Unfortunately, OP's nephew's medical bills are not her responsibility. OP chose what she was going to spend her money on, and she has no say in it. It is her fault that she spent that money on luxury items and has a chance to make money back to help her child and isn't choosing to do so. That's her fault, not OP's. My boyfriend and I are both 26. We've been together for nearly 3 years and we have a 2-year-old son together. He had a 6-year-old son from a prior relationship. When we first got together, I made it very clear that my immediate role is not to assume the position of being a stepmom. He'd often push this on me and have his son call me stepmom. This happened for a few months and then I nipped it in the bud. I made it clear that I will continue to be a role model in his life. Also, it's not like his actual mom isn't in the picture. My boyfriend has always talked about how much he misses his son, and I would tell him to start working like you love him. Make efforts to get some type of rights, because the mother only allows phone calls, video chats, which are often limited. When it has come to him buying things that he needs, I have been there to provide birthday gifts, Christmas cards, the basic necessities, and would say it's from me and him. And I did this before having our own child together. Now, fast forward to yesterday. He finally calls a lawyer and asked me to drop half this Friday to get started. I'm all for support, but am I an a-hole for feeling some type of way? He told me during the dating stage that his relationship with his son and the mother were great. But once we made it official, it was another story. He also cheated on me with her. Still no clarity on what actually happened, but something did. Like, I get the fact that he wants his child, but why must I pay? Is this the norm for couples who have had children prior? Instead of buying all this beer and that Xbox, he could have paid in full on his own. He said he'd pay me back, but I still had to tell him how I felt. Edit. I didn't mean to make it seem like I don't love his son. I do, I really do. We've shared so many memories. But then he just stopped coming over. I just didn't know I'd be expected to pay such a huge amount in such a short time. He was upset when I told him I didn't appreciate last-minute things, especially after all I have dealt with already. Plus, he had the means to pay for this and knew that it would cost something, and not one time did he ask me to help him financially, until yesterday. I was okay with finding information for him, but the moment he finds a lawyer, he asks if I could go half. Then got mad when I told him I was hesitant to give it to him. I just bought expensive equipment for his job, while he buys an Xbox and beer. He made me feel like the bad guy, per usual when he asks me to do things. I've supported him financially for so long that I opted for quitting my job. But now that I'm working again, he's asking for favors yet again. Definitely have a lot of thinking to do. I don't think OP is an a-hole. Her boyfriend clearly is. OP needs to save her money for her child. OP should definitely not pay for his lawyer fees when he can't even be bothered to make a physical trip to the lawyer's office to pay the bill. I wouldn't be surprised if OP's boyfriend's been in other legal trouble, because I suspect this money isn't even for custody visitations of his son. I think OP's boyfriend is lying about what the money is for, and he's definitely lying about paying OP back. If OP pays this money, she will never get it back. OP may as well take it all in the bathroom and flush it down the toilet, because it's the exact same thing. Also, OP's boyfriend sounds irresponsible and immature, and I don't understand why OP is still with him. My parents are divorced. It happened when I, 16 female, was 7 years old. I remember back then money was bad, and I learned pretty soon after my mom was terribly financially irresponsible. The cause for the divorce was she took out a second credit card and racked up debt behind my dad's back. And then when he found out, she refused to get help or get another job to pay off the debt. She has always had a thing for nice jewelry. Life with my mom was very tough. We were homeless on her time and would go from place to place. My dad had temporary custody of me for a while until she found a place. But then she would overspend and miss rent, so we moved around a crap ton. She met her husband when I was 9. He had an 8-year-old son and a 6-year-old daughter. Together, they were really ducking bad with money. My dad ended up with temporary custody of me again because they blew $10K on a wedding when they didn't even have $500 in savings combined and had no help from family to pay. They had a baby while dealing with that debt, and then another after she got some more custody of me. Then they had a third. So, full-time, they have 5 kids in the house, 6 with me. They are forced to move a lot because of their spending, and the kids don't have a lot of stuff. I spend Fridays and Saturdays there once a month, and an occasional midweek dinner. My step and half siblings all want more time with me. They have asked to come home, to my dad's, with me. Sometimes they will try to interact with them and ask to be included in stuff. My mom always tries to get my dad to include them, but he says no. The other night she called and asked why I don't try to include them more. I told her it was because I want to keep her from my dad. That she left him picking up some pretty crappy pieces, and he shouldn't have to make up for her actions again with her kids, who are nothing to him. That my dad has done his very best to give me the stability she won't, and the least I can do is spare him from dealing with her again. She is still ranting at me for what I said. Am I an a-hole? OP is not an a-hole. They're OP's siblings. They're not OP's children. If they want more time with OP, then they can ask to have her around more. OP's mom can rant and rave all she wants. OP is setting a healthy boundary. She doesn't like it. She can get over it. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they either know how crappy their living situation is and are curious about what OP's life is like with her dad. Or mom could be telling them to try to stay with OP and dad because she wants some relief. Regardless, not OP's problem for setting a clear boundary.